So let's begin today's session. Today's session, we are going to focus on thoughtless awareness as the key technique as well as key aspect of the practice of this Sahaj meditation. I'm your host, Shankar Ramani, and today I'll be taking you through what thoughtless awareness actually means, and then take a look at some of the important strategies that we can follow during our meditation to enhance this experience, or in other words, try and reach this state of thoughtless awareness as long as possible, as deep as possible during our meditation. The first 15 minutes or so, I will be taking you through these techniques, 15 to 20 minutes, and then we will have a long meditation for about 25-30 minutes, where we will try and apply as many of these techniques as possible so that you can go back and practice, use these methods in your meditation when you do them at home. With that said, let's get into it. First, to define what thoughtless awareness is. In reality, the perfect description, or you could say the meaning of thoughtless awareness, is that it is a state. It's not a technique, so to speak. It's not just something that you can practice, but it is a state that you fall into. And that state is a state of consciousness. And our consciousness, as we know, has got multiple layers and multiple levels. And this particular state of consciousness is at a higher state than our usual cognitive state of existence. What does that mean? It means that if I'm talking to you right now and all your usual senses are aware, which means you can hear, you can see, you can have your sense of touch and so on and so forth. And yes, your brain is active and you're cognitively absorbing, all performing all your cognitive functions as usual. Now that is one state of existence. However, there is a method by which there are ways to access the higher state. There is a higher state of consciousness than the regular cognitive state. And that state is the one that we call as the true state of meditation, or in other words, that is a state in which you experience complete thoughtlessness. And although in English language, thoughtlessness probably has a negative connotation, in the context of this meditation, being thoughtless actually is a positive thing. And in fact, it is the most important and fundamental step for you to become an expert or actually get the benefits of this meditation. So that higher state of consciousness is what we want to reach. Or in other words, our attention, the power of our attention as we know it, we want our attention to be raised to that higher state. And then the question becomes how. It cannot be done cognitively, because if your cognitive powers operate at a particular level, you cannot use your same cognitive powers to push your attention to a higher state. In other words, the cognitive state and abilities are limited to this particular layer. So if you think of a two-story building, for example, your cognitive level is at ground level or level one. And the level two is really the state or the higher state of consciousness where thoughtless awareness exists. Now, let's say level one is noisy, right? If you're facing a lot of distractions, you're hearing things, you're seeing things, there are people talking, and your own brain is active and all that. And at some point, it becomes too much for you to handle. Then one way to do that is you try and shut out the noises. You somehow try and control your mind or your cognitive abilities to tune out those noises. Now, that's the default method that we use, and that in fact is the method that is used by most other meditations out there. They try to give you relaxation, try to remove your stress by trying to reduce or eliminate thoughts at this lower plane, or level one, you could say. What Sahaj does is it says, hey, I don't want to stay at this level. It doesn't just work for me. I want to go to level two, right? So imagine if you go to level two and there you find a new level, expansive space, complete silence and complete bliss, no distractions whatsoever. You cannot hear anything from level one. that is your state of thoughtless awareness. And that is kind of the analogy that we should use when we understand this concept of thoughtless awareness. So every single time you want to meditate, you want to go to level 2, or you want to take your attention to level 2. Coming back to the question of how we can do that, in Sahaj, the way out is for this to be a spontaneous, innate, automatic process. That is, well, you could say it's not truly automatic. You have to express your desire for your inner spiritual energy, which is the Kundalini energy at the base of the spine, to rise and rise through your channels and through your energy centers. And when it crosses this fixed energy center in the region of the forehead, that is the point in time then that you begin to feel this thoughtless awareness. And that is exactly the point beyond which your attention is raised to that higher state of consciousness. So in that sense, the rising of the energy, the crossing of this particular point, then takes you and pushes your attention into that higher state and pushes you into that level 2. And once your attention is there, then it can begin to start experiencing the benefits of thoughtless awareness. Now, the question is, okay, you have reached that level and you've seen that benefits. Can you stay up there? Is there going to be downward forces pulling you down to level 1? Yes, absolutely. And that is how we explain why a lot of people, and even today, after many years of meditation, that's the case with me as well, or pretty much any practitioner, is that the distractions from level 1, the forces from level 1 continue to pull our attention down. And these are in the form of thoughts, which can be very strong sometimes and intense. And the intensity of our thoughts are again dependent upon, it could depend upon the issue, it could depend upon the particular scenario or situation that you are in. It could also depend upon, for example, if you spend 12 hours a day working, your mind has been occupied, you've been exercising your brains, you're tired, a lot of those thoughts come back. It can also come from the future, which is if you have a big event tomorrow, or some important thing to do, then your thoughts could be pulling you into the future. So from the past, from the future, the intensity of the thoughts tend to pull us down whenever we are in level 2, right? And those are intrusions from our thoughts. So if there is a way that we can strengthen our ability to stay at that higher level, no matter whatever thought pulls us down, then you get a good quality meditation. And that in essence is mastering the state of thoughtless awareness, or being in that state of thoughtless awareness. And so how do we resist that pull? That is exactly the techniques that we are going to talk about today. How do you stay in that level 2 or that higher level, where you can have a high quality meditation, and depending on whichever day or time you sit for meditation, you are more or less able to get a reasonable level of thoughtless awareness or being in that state. And I say this because each day will be different. When you wake up fresh in the morning after a good sleep, yesterday wasn't a problem, it was a happy day for you, tomorrow you don't have much to do, then your meditation is going to be easier, and it's going to be easy for you to access that higher state and just remain there. On the other hand, at the other end of the extreme, if you have had a bad day on the previous day, or the day to come is going to be busy for you and you're worried, then you can have all sorts of things going on in your head. And so your thoughtless awareness can be a real challenge, right? But the goal here is to more or less be consistent and try to master those techniques so that we can work on ourselves to achieve that level of thoughtless awareness that we need. So on to those methods or techniques. The first one is, whenever we sit down for meditation, the preparation is extremely important. And all of you by now are aware of how the meditation starts. It starts by raising our energy and raising the Kundalini energy. And why do we do that? Now you know how it correlates with thoughtless awareness. The energy has to rise and it has to cross this point for us to be able to get to that higher state, which is why we raise our energy, amongst other reasons for raising the energy. But from the perspective of thoughtless awareness, you are trying to raise your energy with the focus and with the knowledge that once your Kundalini energy rises and it achieves a strong connection, and your inner spiritual self achieves a strong connection with the all-pervading power, the stronger the connection, the better your ability to stay in that higher state. which is why we say when you start your meditation, don't just raise your energy like an exercise, right? It's not just a technique. Well, it is a technique in that you need to know how to do it, but you need to have your heart in it, you need to have your full attention in it, and you need to know what is it that you're doing. What you're essentially doing is you are getting your inner energy, which is a spiritual energy, to rise and lift you into that higher state of thoughtless awareness. So you should have your entire attention while you're doing that particular technique. And I'm going to just digress a little bit and show you the video. You've probably seen this on our website, or you've seen it in prior sessions. All the same, I'm just going to show you a small part of the video that demonstrates how to raise this energy. This might be especially useful for people who might have not seen this video before. So I'm going to just straight away play it off our website. I'm going to do a little bit of sharing here. Give me a minute. All right, so this is the video.
On the top of your head. The goal is to raise your inner energy to the crown of your head and tie it up. As the energy rises up your spine, it will gradually shift your consciousness into the state of thoughtless awareness. To raise your inner energy, first place your left hand in front of your lower abdomen with your palm facing your body. Then slowly raise your left hand to the top of your head, and as your left hand is ascending, rotate your right hand around it in a clockwise direction, swirling around and around until both hands are above your head. Now, imagine that you are tying a knot with a short rope, and using both hands, perform the gesture of tying a knot above your head, as if you are actually tying up your inner energy. Now, lower both hands, and starting with your left palm facing your lower abdomen, repeat this process of raising the energy and tying the knot 3 times. The second time, tying 2 knots at the top of your head. The third time, tying 3 knots at the top of your head. This technique will help focus your attention and raise your inner energy to the crown chakra or energy center. The goal is to raise the energy, achieve a connection to the universal cosmic energy through your crown energy center, and establish the state of meditation. Now, you want to form a shield of protection to protect your subtle energy system and to preserve your ability to remain in the state of thoughtless awareness. First, place your left hand on your lap, palm upwards. Next, place your right hand beside your left hip. Slowly raise your right hand over your head and sweep it down the right side of your upper body. Then sweep your right hand back up the right side of your body, over your head, and down the left side of your body. Repeat sweeping your right hand up over your head and down 7 times to form a shield.
All right, so let's get back to where we were, which is our thoughtless awareness. So the importance of that technique really is about paying attention and making sure that you are doing that technique properly. In fact, I would rather urge you not to treat it as a technique, but as an act of requesting your spiritual energy to rise and for preparing yourself and for you to put yourself in that state of thoughtless awareness. Okay, move on. The next one is sort of qualitative, and it is, in fact, I cannot tell you how important this is. This also should not be done as a technique, but Humbling down is an extremely important aspect, and you will do this right after you have raised your energy, or you could do even before you raise your energy. It doesn't matter. But the essence of it is that as human beings, we are not perfect. And you should take a moment, pause, and let your ego recede. And when you let your ego resides here, or the chakra that controls or is affected by the ego is right here. And when you allow your ego in a very genuine, sincere way to recede, it allows the Kundalini energy to pass through a lot more easily. That is as simple as that, which is why we say always do not forget, whenever, every single time you sit down to meditate, humble down, acknowledge that you're not perfect, surrender to the energy, and ask that energy and the all pervading power to cure you of your imperfections, to remove your imbalances. And you can take it one step further. If you're facing a crisis or a problem, for instance, at home or at work or whatever that is, you can surrender that problem to this energy and say, please take care of it. I am not the doer. I don't do anything. You are responsible, and this universal energy runs this whole world and this universe, right? Surrender to that energy in a very sincere manner. And once you acknowledge that you are sort of just a drop in this ocean, and you become humble, then you will immediately find that the Kundalini energy and the connection becomes very strong. And the effort that it takes for you to land into that thoughtless awareness state is far less, and it makes it a lot more easier. So I can't tell you how important this technique is. I can also tell you that there have been many sessions and days when personally I do not follow the same rule. And that happens because I get busy, and we just come in and start doing the meditation, and I just raise my energy straight away, try to put my attention here and then do that, forgetting to become humble and surrender to that force inside, right? So that's the second technique. We will try that out today. The third technique is, as I said, the concept of thoughtless awareness is to raise or allow your energy to rise. And the way this energy rises is that it passes through our channels and energy centers or chakras. And due to that, if there are blockages, if there are imbalances in your spiritual energy system, then your Kundalini energy is going to struggle to rise, right? It's going to go through a particular chakra, it's going to hit an obstacle, and it's going to find that it has to work there, maybe go around something and so on, or maybe move there and move to the left or right or whatever. So it's not a smooth process. Think of it like a pipe that is clogged, and water cannot flow through it smoothly and come out from the other end, right? Something very similar is going on. So in order to remove the clog, unclog your sort of spiritual system, you will have to focus on working on your imbalances. I'm pretty sure as part of this series, you would have attended, or you're going to be attending, techniques of clearing and balancing. But it is important that you have that sensitivity in every session, saying if you are caught up or if you have some imbalances which you can feel, and that's the good thing in Sahaj, that you will actually be able to feel whatever imbalances and problems that you have in your subtle energy system. If you haven't gotten to that point yet, you have to just be patient. Typically, people take a few weeks for the sensitivity to their own problems and the state of their energy. And your hands, your fingers will tell you exactly what is not correct with you or where you have a problem. And which is the exact reason why we say that during meditation, you should have your hands and fingers this way, for you to be able to perceive the intensity of vibrations, intensity of the energy, as well as for you to get the feedback as to which particular chakra or what is not correct with you. It takes a while, but if you're persistent and if you're meditating on a daily basis, eventually you will get to that point. And once you find out what is not correct, you have to use the techniques to clear yourself or clear that particular chakra, so that once again, the path for the flow of the Kundalini is smooth, and it is effortlessly raising you to that state of thoughtless awareness. So this is sort of a third step before you begin to fall into that deep state of meditation. Moving on, the fourth technique is about, once you have laid the foundation, you've worked on becoming humble, and then you've worked on clearing yourself. The next step is to actually focus and fall deeper into that state of meditation and remain in that level 2 that I spoke about earlier. And there, the technique is you will, during the course of staying at that level of thoughtless awareness, continuously feel that dragging down in the form of thoughts that intrude. You will be tempted to get involved with that thought, especially if it's a thought. See, thoughts are not always negative. Thoughts can always be positive as well, and they can be from good memories and so on and so forth. A very crude rudimentary example would be if you had a party, or if you just had an ice cream a few hours ago. Maybe you liked it so much, and in your meditation the ice cream is coming back in your attention, right? Very much possible. Now it gives you a feeling of pleasure. Yeah, it's a good memory. At the same time, it's creating a thought, right? And that is sort of interfering you from being in that state of thoughtless awareness, right? So what you need to do is simply tell yourself, yeah, that's fine. Hey, I don't want this thought. I'm doing my meditation. Let's just not react to it. Let's not get involved into thinking about the different types of ice cream that I can have the next time, and so on and so forth, or whatever else thought pattern and chain of thoughts that might arise as a result of that. Shut down that thought, but without force. Don't try to use cognitive ability and say, oh, I'm getting this thought, let me try to just arrest it, and what is this? If you do that, then you are again using your cognitive abilities more, and you are the trying to fix it. You're again going to be brought down to that level 1. So it's important to be very subtle about it. Be like a witness. Watch your thought when it's coming. Be aware that it's coming. Just recede back and de-identify with the thought and say that, hey, this thought, you are not part of me. I'm just going to see you go, and I'm going to see you go away, right? That's sort of the disposition when you are in that thoughtless awareness state. You need to be not too strong, not get worried, not get emotional, not be disturbed in any way, but you also need to be extremely alert. And then you need to make sure that you're aware of how many thoughts and how long your thoughts are, right? So that you are able to stay alert and just dismiss those thoughts and allow them to pass by. The worst thing that you can do in this particular aspect of thoughtless awareness technique is to start getting involved with that thought, and suddenly you find you've spent 7 or 8 minutes in your meditation when you've been thinking about something, right? And therefore that is not meditation, and therefore that is not thoughtless awareness, and so you've lost the opportunity to be in that higher state, right? So that particular strategy for when you are at that higher state, that is the particular manner in which you allow the thoughts to pass. Don't get involved with them, right? And then the last technique here is collective meditation is important. If you have not begun to feel the difference between you meditating at home versus meditating in a group, that means your sensitivity has not developed as yet. It is only a matter of time before you begin to feel that the collective force and your ability to raise that energy, your Kundalini energy, will rise much faster and easier when you are doing a group meditation. And we cannot again stress how important that is. No matter how much of an expert you are and how good your state is, most of the time we have found that when you run into problems with your subtle energy system and some blockages and whatever else that you are experiencing, a powerful solution for that is to attend collective meditations. And in the parlance of thoughtless awareness, collective meditation can make it a lot easier for you to lift yourself into that state. And so as far as possible in a week, you should try at least once where you are part of a collective meditation session. And so your connection is continuously getting stronger and stronger. What is that connection? That connection is your subtle energy system or your spiritual being connected to the all-pervading power. So once it grows stronger, then it becomes easier for you to be thoughtless and be in that thoughtless awareness state. So with that, those are the most important techniques, and these are all out of the experience experiences that I've had, experience that a lot of the practitioners have had. I will mention a couple of other things, which is overall, if your body temperature is high, if your system is heated, then your thoughtless awareness sometimes can be poor. The techniques for that, which will be covered in other sessions, one is the using the ice pack on the liver is a great way to cool down your entire system. It will definitely help you in your thoughtless awareness. And the other popular technique is foot soak. Doing your foot soak, when you're stressed out and when you're unable to focus, will also enhance your thoughtless awareness. And the reason that I did not cover those two explicitly was that they are techniques by themselves in their own right, which require a session, and then they have other benefits as well. So with that said, let's get to the meditation now. So let's close our eyes first. And let's prepare ourselves for this meditation. Take a few moments. Try to turn our attention inward. Take a few deep breaths. And now, with complete attention and sincerity, let's raise our energy according to the technique that we just saw. And if you're not still familiar and fluent with that technique, that's okay. You can just sit and have your attention on the crown of the head. Now, once you've raised your energy and the connection is established, let's now work on our humility and humbling ourselves down completely. While you do not need to feel guilty or bad or have any regrets, just have the disposition or feeling or attitude that this energy inside us and the all-pervading energy is extremely powerful. We are powerless in front of these superior spiritual powers. None of our achievements in life, none of our accomplishments, our wealth, and whatever else we feel proud about would have been possible without these powers. So let's feel grateful, let's feel humble and surrender to this energy. And then let's take a few moments of silence. In complete sincerity, let's ask this inner Kundalini energy within us to solve all our problems in our lives. And if you want to be specific about specific problems, that's fine too. Now, let's make sure that our hands are resting on our laps, fingers stretched out for us to be able to feel the vibrations. And now we go to that higher state. Keep our attention on the crown of the head. And let's, for the next several minutes, try to witness ourselves as though our attention is watching our thoughts. And if a thought comes, without getting involved, very subtly and very gently, let's just detach. That thought is not important. No thought is important during this time. And just gently come back to the state where your attention is simply watching and witnessing either complete silence, or if a thought comes, just allowing it to pass by. As we are gently falling into that deep state of meditation, let's now have some music to aid remaining in that thoughtless awareness state. Let's now gently open our eyes, gradually bring ourselves out of that state of meditation. And at this point, let's express our gratitude to our own individual Kundalini energy for providing us this great opportunity of our lifetime to get our spiritual awakening. And with that gratitude in mind and complete attention, let's once again raise our energy similar to how we did at the start of the meditation. So that brings us to the end of today's session, which focused on thoughtless awareness. And hopefully, you were able to experience the methods and how to apply the methods and how they result in a better degree of thoughtless awareness. As I had mentioned before, you can use the same techniques at home and you don't have to necessarily follow them in the same sequence or use all of them, but just make sure you know what they are and how to use them. And any day that your experience of thoughtless awareness is wavering or it isn't consistent, then you should be able to use these methods to improve the quality of your meditation. With that, if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer based on what was covered in today's session. You can type in your questions on the chat or through the Q&A that you can see on your device. Okay, I have. All right, looks like nobody has any questions and everybody enjoyed the meditation, which is a great sign. That means people were able to experience thoughtless awareness. All right, so I will see you in the next session, and please do continue to attend our sessions online to make further progress on this meditation. Thank you, and good evening or good night or good day.